Coach, when you put a kid like Ozzy Trapillo in, are you evaluating in the present, but also with an eye for next year?
Um, that's a good question, Rich. We put him in because we do believe he's the next best guy. So that's our priority to put the best guys on the field and try to win the game. But at the same time, I guess you do get a glimpse when you watch him of what the future will be because, he is definitely a guy in the future that we're going to count on. So we think that, he had some really good moments and there's some moments, I'm sure he'd like back. I think he got better from his last start. So that gives him, a little bit of playing time. And I think Ozzy's going to be a really good player. And hopefully he's learning from these reps that he's getting.
We'll go to Kevin.
Hey, Coach, how you doing?
Good, Kev. What's up, man?
So, having watched the film back now, Zay Flowers had 6 targets and 92 yards yesterday. But did you feel like you guys could have gotten him the ball even more?
We talked about it. Just because there was the 6 targets doesn't mean we weren't trying to get him the ball more. We had a couple of plays designed that, for one reason or another, we didn't get it to him. But it wasn't for lack of effort to try to get him the football. I'd always love to come back and say that he touched the ball 10 times. And I think we can continue to work on that, but it wasn't for a lack of an effort. We're definitely trying to get Zay the football. Obviously Phil scrambled on a bunch. We took some sacks on some, but when he did, he made the most of his opportunities and you saw what he could do with the ball in his hand.
We'll go next to Trevor.
Hey, Jeff, just curious about the past 2 games. Just do you think the slow starts are more physical, more mental, a little bit of both? Just what do you attribute them to?
Yeah. Trevor, I thought about that a lot last night. I thought about the earlier start time, the 12 o'clock start time. We hadn't had many of those games. But then you look back, the Georgia Tech was a later game, and our offense didn't start slow in that game, though. I thought our offense came out and they were firing from the beginning. I thought the defense did come out a little bit slower. I'm not sure yet. I talked to the team today about that. I talked to them about, their resiliency. I mean, the score was 26-3, right? At some point. And we were heavy on the ropes and they were ready to knock us out. And we came out swinging and we got it all the way down to a chance to win at the end of the game. But you can't let the game get to that because you're going to run out of time and it's not always going to be this great comeback. So we need to start faster. We need to execute faster. We need to make adjustments faster. We need to do everything a little bit quicker. So I'm going to work really hard on that this week and see what we can do. But, physical, mental, my guess is it's maybe a combination of both. And I'm going to work really hard on making sure that it doesn't happen again.
We'll go to Dan.
Coach, the balance of having like that pressure and then making adjustments during the game. And I think back even to last year, I know the UNC game was a 4th quarter comeback. I think the Duke game, the Texas State game was a 4th quarter comeback. When you talk about making adjustments, how much of that is you saying adjusting and changing things versus adjusting and reinforcing things that you want to do and just, reinforce how to do it?
It could be both. There were in adjustments, again, I stress to you guys, adjustments aren't halftime adjustments. They're after every single series. If you wait until halftime, you're going to be too late. So I know everybody thinks, what did you do at halftime? Well, it's what you do in between the series that are so important. And sometimes the adjustments are harder than others. Sometimes you haven't seen something that they've done on tape and you have to really change stuff. And you could change it, Dan. I could sit there and draw it up on the sideline, but the players got to go out and do it. And if it's not something that they've done or seen, it still takes a little bit of time to see it again and again to get it right. In practice, you try to practice against what they've shown on tape, and that usually takes a few reps. By Thursday, hopefully you get it down pretty good. Well, imagine we hadn't seen something that they hadn't done all year, and we draw up a change up to how we're going to defend it on the sideline, but you don't get any practice reps at it. You got to go and execute it at a high level right away. And that's an example of something that happened yesterday where I think after we saw it a few times, we were able to shut it down. And I think the defense, after they continue to see it, and I thought the staff made really good adjustments. And I think you saw that we played much better defense later. At the same time, looking back at that film defensively, second down was the down we struggled with yesterday. We were great on third down. I think they were 2 of 10. I think if you combine third down and fourth down, they were 2 of 12. Second down, we couldn't get into enough third downs. I think we played 77, 78 snaps, and we only had them in 10 third downs. That something's wrong. It means we weren't doing a good enough job on really first and second down, primarily second. And we were there. We missed a couple tackles. We got rubbed, and we should have been over the top. I mean, shoot, on the 1 third down, we had them stopped and they scored on that drive. And we just had a guy fall down, or, we're potentially off the field there. There's another third down on a big drive where we stop them, but we get a face mask. There's another third and long, I think 3rd and 20, where we got a guy in great position, but he doesn't turn back, look for the ball, and we foul him, and it's a first down. So I feel like we need to make some more plays early in the game. And there are a few calls we could have put our guys in a better position as well. So coaching and playing, and I know I'm kind of just rambling, but that's kind of how I feel.
Go to Rich.
Did you put Vinny back outside, or was he mixing it up with IGM?
Well, he played both.
Yes, I thought. Okay.
Yeah, it depended on what personnel they were in. If they played with 1 back, 2 tight ends, and 2 wide receivers, he was in one spot. And if it were 1 back, 1 tight end, and 3 wide receivers, he was in another. You can see they really tried to spread us out yesterday. I mean, more so than we had seen on tape from them. And it hurt. It really hurt not having Josh DeBerry, because we were playing a lot of 3 linebacker sets against their spread sets. That nickel position, we didn't have as many reps. Credit Elijah to get inside and give us some more speed on the field there, instead of playing the 3 backers. But, we certainly missed Josh yesterday, and we missed the speed of Sheeta too on the edge, both in the run and the pass game. And hopefully we'll get both of them back for this week against Wake Forest.
Go to Trevor.
Those 4th and goals from the 3 are kind of tricky. It's like it's kind of a lose-lose if you get it wrong and a win-win if you get it right. So just how do you kind of balance those, knowing like we have Phil who can scramble or Pat who can run it? How do you kind of decide 4th and goal from the 3? What are we going to do?
Yeah, on the fourth down, I went for it early in the game rather than kick. Is that what you're talking about? Yeah. To me, that's got to be a field call, right? A lot of times I might have kicked that, and trust me, I thought a lot about that last night too. The way the game was going, I felt like we were going to need to score a lot of points, and that's the feel I got early on. And I'm a defensive guy, so I usually get a pretty good sense of that. We were struggling to stop them early, and just looking at the points they've been able to score lately, I felt like we were going to need to score touchdowns to beat that team. And worst case scenario, hopefully you get them to punt, you get the ball back, and you're in scoring position again. But I trust our offense after what they were able to do all last week, and with Phil and with our back and our line. And I stick with that decision, because I did believe at that point. It's easy to look back now, right? I mean, we lose by 3 points. You could say, oh, if coach kicked a field goal there, we would have tied the game. And there's a lot of those moments, guys. I mean, in that 25 seconds hits and you got to make a decision. You got to make it, and you got to live with it. And that's one that I got to stick with. So I trust that we'll get those, and we have to convert them. And even on that, it was there. I just think we need to execute that better as well.
We'll go to Dan.
Yeah, Coach, you mentioned the spreading out and how Florida State had done that. I know that's something that without Josh becomes significantly more difficult. But when you have those matchups and you have to play 3 linebackers, is that determining how to spread out with the guys that are on the field, or is that same idea? Is it a combination of trusting the right guy into the scheme?
Well, when they spread us out like that, they're just making those linebackers playing more space. Whether you saw, they kept trying to just throw like the ball very quickly to the running back, right? I mean, that's simply, it's almost like in basketball, clearing everybody out, and then I'm going to go try to dunk on you, right? So they were spreading us out and trying to create one-on-one matchups with some of our backers. That's a fast team. I felt like I said earlier in the week, them and Louisville have great team speed, and spreading us out with backers on the field certainly was one of those deals. But then we quickly adjusted and we put more DBs on the field, and felt like, that gave us a better chance. It's when they spread you out, are they trying to run it? are they trying to spread you out to get mismatches? And that's what we had to figure out pretty quick. And that's why we put another nickel on the field. So 2 backers, really 3 corners versus 3 backers, 2 corners. And why, Brandon Sebastian hadn't practiced very much, so we didn't know how he'd be. So we kept Elijah on the outside. Elijah actually missed a practice day last week. So he only practiced Wednesday and Thursday. So he missed all the practice reps Tuesday that we would have got him at that position to get him ready. So there were a lot of things that went into it, Dan. And we were pretty banged up going into that game. And then losing Josh and Sheeta and not having Elijah to practice Tuesday and Sebastian kind of still battling back. Practice was tough to try to figure out exactly who to put where. I know I just gave you a lot, but.
Go to Rich.
Hey, Coach, 51 running plays, 24 pass attempts. Even if you take Phil's scrambles out of the equation, that's still a pretty run-centric offense. Was that the game plan, or is that how it developed?
I think it's how it developed. The second half, I really liked how we were running the football, and their front 4 were really getting after us in the pass game. So to slow them down and try to get them tired, we felt running the ball was effective. And you could see on those long drives, their pass rushers were getting tired, and that opened it up so we could throw the ball better. But they were being very aggressive on the edge. 4 and 11 are really good players. And I felt like we were taking advantage of that. I did feel like we ran the ball pretty well in that game. And, that opened up some things in the pass game too to slow them down.